Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving straight into something that affects literally every single one of us. But, we rarely approach it with a practical mindset. We're talking about how to seriously elevate our romantic partnerships. And the trick here, a fundamental shift in how we view them. Forget looking at a relationship as some static achievement. Like a finish line you cross on your wedding day and then you're just done. Instead, think of it as ongoing maintenance. Just like anything else of real value in your life, your relationship absolutely requires continuous, deliberate care to actually thrive. Think back to the very first time you laid eyes on your partner. You probably had those classic crazy butterflies in your stomach, right? You missed them the absolute second they left the room. But let's be real, life gets in the way. Careers, running errands, maybe raising kids, they all start taking priority. So I've got to ask you directly. Has that initial spark kind of been replaced by a lack of communication? Or maybe just a creeping sense of emotional distance? Look, if you're nodding your head right now, you are definitely not alone. It happens all the time. And the best part, it's completely reversible. Think of your relationship like your house. When a light bulb burns out in the living room, you don't just pack up all your stuff and go buy a brand new house, right? No, you simply replace the bulb. It's such a brilliant, grounding way to look at it. Relationships just need regular upkeep. They really do. The romance might have gotten buried under the weight of everyday stress, but the foundation, the structure is still totally there. We just need to do a little maintenance to reignite that flame. Section 1. Traits of healthy relationships. Let's look at what this blueprint actually entails. So, what makes a dynamic actually healthy? Well, it's a pretty broad spectrum. We're talking about everything from establishing firm boundaries to acting as a total anchor of trust for each other. It's about keeping that physical chemistry alive and really offering supportive care. But here's a huge one. It also means that when you fight, and yes, you absolutely will fight, those arguments don't linger. You actually come together, you hash it out, resolve it, and recover right away, rather than giving each other the silent treatment for 3 days straight. Now, when it comes to defining boundaries, people get this wrong all the time. Setting boundaries is absolutely not about building a massive brick wall between you two, and it's definitely not about imposing strict rules to somehow control your partner. Not at all. It's actually about fostering mutual respect and practicing essential self-care. It's knowing exactly where you end and your partner begins. That's how both individuals feel respected and, honestly, whole within the partnership itself. Section 2. Busting common relationship myths. Let's clear out some of the junk science. Let's start with a really big one. The myth is that if you lose that fiery, intense initial spark, well, the relationship is just toast, completely over. But the reality? Physical and emotional intimacy naturally comes in waves. You and your partner might not be riding the exact same peak at the exact same time, and you know what? That is completely normal. You've both got different stressors and totally different life demands pulling at you. The trick isn't to panic. The trick is talking it out, having some patience, and consciously choosing to ride that wave together. Moving on to another huge myth, this idea that avoiding conflict is the ultimate goal, that fighting is somehow inherently toxic. Seriously, that is just not true. Simply being in a relationship literally guarantees disagreements. The reality is that working through healthy arguments actually supercharges your connection. It teaches you how to tackle obstacles as a united team and find common ground. Think about it. If you literally never argue, you're probably never communicating what you actually need. And oh man, there is a massive misconception when it comes to therapy. So many couples seem to think that stepping into a counselor's office means admitting total defeat. But in reality, seeking out couples counseling isn't a failure at all. Actually, it's one of the most proactive things you can do. It shows a truly heartfelt, genuine interest in fixing your communication and making things work. It's literally like taking your car to a trusted mechanic for a tune-up before the engine actually blows up on the highway. Section 3. The power of self-awareness. This is where we turn inward. So self-awareness actually splits into two really distinct forms. First up, you have private self-awareness. This is basically monitoring your own internal emotional mirror. It's knowing exactly what's going on inside your head when you're just sitting alone in a room. And then there's public self-awareness. That's your ability to recognize how other people are perceiving you when you're out in social settings. And honestly, grasping both of these is absolutely critical because how you feel internally is going to directly dictate how you treat your partner externally. Now, if you're sitting there wondering, okay, but how do I actually build this self-awareness? The source material gives us some incredibly actionable steps.
First, try journaling to get those raw emotions out in private. It's a massive stress reliever. You can also try meditating or deep breathing techniques. Heck, you can even do those together with your partner. Utilizing individual therapy is great for unpacking those really stubborn negative thought patterns. And finally, just generally working to level up your emotional intelligence. The big takeaway here, taking time for yourself is not selfish. Losing your personal identity inside a partnership is a recipe for disaster. Maintaining who you are is exactly what keeps the whole thing healthy.
Section 4, Growing Better Together. Let's look at emotional intelligence in action.
All right, let's do a quick rapid-fire self-reflection checklist. I want you to ask yourself completely honestly right now, are you truly sensitive to your partner's feelings? Like, when they're having a really hard time, do you instinctively feel empathy and care? Or do you kind of just feel inconvenienced by it? And maybe even more importantly, can you genuinely forgive their mistakes? Emotional intelligence leans so heavily on our ability to just let things go and truly understand the emotional landscape of the person we're doing life with. Let's keep that checklist going, because this is truly where the rubber meets the road. Picture yourself in the middle of a superheated argument. Can you control your emotions in that exact moment, or do they completely hijack you? And when you mess up, because let's face it, we all do, can you just own it? Can you take total responsibility for your bad calls without instantly throwing up defensive walls? Honestly assessing your own conflict management and personal accountability, that is a total game changer for the health of your relationship. To really drive home the power of this individual growth, the author points to this absolutely beautiful cinematic moment from the 1997 classic movie As Good as It Gets. You've got the character Melvin, right? He struggles with severe OCD and has a pretty notoriously difficult personality. But when he finally realizes his feelings for Carol, he looks at her and says, "You make me want to be a better man." It is such a perfect illustration of how vulnerability and deep self-awareness can actively fuel a better partnership. When you're with someone who genuinely inspires you to grow, you just naturally experience far fewer conflicts and a way deeper, richer connection. And look, actually implementing all this stuff takes serious practice, so it's always smart to lean on outside resources. The author even hooks us up with some really handy external tools. For instance, if you are completely exhausted from having the exact same argument on repeat every single week, you can actually scan the QR code provided in the source to download a specific guide. It's designed to help you actively break those super repetitive negative argument loops. It really just comes down to doing the work. So, we've walked through the core traits, busted the big myths, and really dug into the crucial role of self-awareness. I want to wrap up this explainer by leaving you with one pretty provocative question. Are you ready to be the absolute best version of yourself for the sake of both of you? Remember, personal growth is never just a solo mission. It is the ultimate, undeniable key to a lasting, healthy relationship. By tending to your own emotional upkeep, you are actively replacing that burnt-out light bulb and keeping your shared home bright. Thanks so much for joining me to unpack this blueprint today. Take these insights, turn inward, and go elevate your partnership.